The last few decades humans have had a major interest in space exploration and research. To this day we are sending satellites out into the vastness of space, and every year we discover new planets, stars, galaxies and mysteries that makes us question what's really out there. Of course, attempting to understand a brave new frontier comes with a variety of strange and mysterious circumstances that researchers are still trying to better understand. Going back in 1984, cosmonauts aboard the Soviet space station Soyuz 7 experienced something they couldn't explain. The crew described the experience as starting off with a blinding light. They looked out the portholes to try and get a better understanding of what was going on. Being in space, this was worrying to them as they had no idea what it could have been. Shortly after this, they said the space station was surrounded by 7 giant angels, further saying that each of these beings was as big as a 747. The cosmonauts said the beings stayed outside for around 10 minutes before vanishing. As you can imagine, they tried to discuss the possibilities for what they encountered. However, none of them could come to a logical answer. They decided that their minds were playing tricks on them. However, this argument has its flaws, as it would be very unlikely all the cosmonauts' minds would be playing tricks on them at the same time. And not only this, but that they would all see the same hallucination. Regardless, the event was soon put to the back of their minds. The cosmonauts were then joined by 3 more people, and once again the station was surrounded by glowing lights. These massive angelic beings had returned to the space station, and all of the cosmonauts on board witnessed the entities. The story didn't get much coverage, and the Soviet government weren't impressed by their story and told them not to tell anyone about what they had seen. To this day, the experience was blamed on a gas leak, which caused them all to hallucinate. Again though, what people argue about is whether every cosmonaut would have hallucinated the same thing. Interestingly, since 1995, the Solar and Helios-Freck Observatory has been capturing large anomalies flying near our Sun. When looking at the images, they do appear to be angelic in appearance. Some have made a connection with the two events and have suggested these are what the cosmonauts were seeing. NASA, however, have come forward and said that these photos are merely image processing errors. One of the first things that comes to mind when we talk about Jupiter is its giant red storm. Jupiter's red storm has been swirling around for hundreds of years, and as of right now we do not know the source of its distinctive red color. Over the years, scientists have carried out experiments in found in the clouds. Interestingly, NASA scientists have come forward and said that Jupiter's great red spot might not be around for much longer. Research has shown us that it's shrinking and could possibly fade away within your lifetime. NASA sent the Juno probe to Jupiter in 2017, and it was able to photograph an amazing detail of the Great Red Spot. These have been some of the closest images we've ever gotten of the giant planet, and scientists were amazed by the detail in the images. However, another recent discovery from Jupiter has scientists stumped. NASA have come forward and said they've noticed a giant hole in the clouds of Jupiter forming, and as of right now they have no way of explaining it. They said it's almost as if the abyss has appeared out of nowhere. Once again, thanks to the Juno probe, researchers were able to see this strange formation. NASA scientists said the following about the discovery. This strange anomaly seems to be sitting at the middle of a vortex, and we think it's quite deep. What's that black spot on Jupiter? No one is sure. These are recent images as they've been sent back from Juno on its recent pass-by. This was when Juno was around 16,000 kilometers or 9,900 miles above Jupiter's clouds. As of right now, researchers are trying to figure out what the anomaly is. It seems like every year we discover something unexplained out in the vastness of space. It's no surprise that scientists aren't able to answer all of these questions. With space being so massive, it's anyone's guess as to what could be out there. Another mystery that's still unanswered is known as the space rule. Back in 2009, top researchers at the good old Space Flight Center sent a device up into space via a giant balloon known as ARCADE. ARCADE was an acronym that stood for Absolute Radiometer for Cosmology, Astrophysics and Diffuser Missions. While in space, scientists were surprised that instead of picking up weak signals, the arcade device captured data that scientists have described as a space rule. Large amounts of radio waves were picked up on, and they turned out to be radio waves 6 times the normal amount expected to be heard. They also originated from that of a galaxy 2.5 million light-years away. So my question to you guys is, what do you make of this anomaly on Jupiter? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Our oceans are the lifeblood of our planet, but due to them being so vast, there's still a lot we don't know about them. The oceans on our blue marble cover more than 70% of the Earth's surface, and there is still a lot more to be learned by scanning the ocean dams. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is an American scientific agency, and over the years they have made some incredible discoveries. Recently they've announced that at least 280 dolphins have washed up across the U.S. since February. Rather worryingly, this is at triple the rates than normal. And sadly, around 98% of them have passed away. On top of this, scientists are not sure why this is happening. However, they have said it could be down to oil spills that have happened in the past. For example, one of these was the 2010 BP oil spill. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration said it's affected mammals' health along with other marine creatures. Some of these effects include problems with lungs, blood anomalies, and general poor conditions. Researchers have said that because of this spill it's led to the largest dolphin death on record. One of the researchers said the following: "We do know some of the health conditions are improving, but some have been slow to improve. Reproduction in the heaviest old areas continues to be below normal. It's not only dolphins that are passing away in large numbers. Recently, it was announced that small turtles that were swimming in Cape Cod Bay during the harsh weather suddenly froze. It was reported that over 80 frozen sea turtles were brought into the Massachusetts Wildlife Sanctuary, and it's been reported they didn't survive. There's been a total of 173 turtles that passed away. But the number of turtles that were in bad health was higher. A total of 227 near-frozen turtles were brought to the sanctuary, but out of this only 54 of the turtles survived. During the past winter more than 400 turtles washed up. The Wildlife Sanctuary said the following about the incident. "We are at well over 400 cold-stunned turtles for the year, and the vast majority of them throw solids. One of the reasons is because the water around Cape Cod fell to 19 degrees Fahrenheit. This isn't the first time this has happened. In 2010, it was reported that turtles stayed away from the area due to it being so cold. However, as the waters are warming up, the turtles are expanding their ranges. But due to the quick swings in temperatures, the water changes drastically. As of right now, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is working to help rescue these animals. Our world is filled with many mysteries, and most of these have been tough to explain. However, something that throws out more mysteries is the observable universe. Although it does appear that the majority of these questions will be focused around the fabric of our universe, nothing seems to be more mysterious and unexplained than the very nature of dark matter. Many have asked what is it, and quite frankly we have no idea. Not a single person has a single idea what it is. But it's been theorized that it makes up over 80% of the mass of the universe, and can't for some reason be directly observed by any means available. Though it can't be observed. By understanding the movement of stars, it was made obvious to researchers that there was a large amount of mass not accounted for. This mass would need to make up roughly 80% if it was able to hold the elements of the universe together. Which is how scientists became aware of dark matter and its implications relative to the very nature of our universe. Understanding what it is, why it can't be detected, and all of its strange properties could be the key to understanding big questions about the nature of our universe and existence in general. A recent theory about the origin and properties of dark matter has been put forward, and it involves a mysterious part of researchers have said that the key to dark matter could be in the form of a particle, and that this mysterious particle is somehow entering our universe. Some of the world's best minds have suggested that dark matter could be explained by observing the dark photon particle. These mysterious particles have been compared to a normal photon. However, these ones are linked to dark electromechanicism. Physicist John Turing said the following: "The primary candidate for a long time was the weakly interacting massive particles, but it looks like that's almost completely ruled out. This is a new type of dark matter, but it comes with a new way to look for it as well." One of the issues that the world's scientists and researchers are facing is that our current technology can't detect it. However, this new theory is being presented and accepted by some physicists. Primary evidence for dark matter is that many galaxies would break apart instead of rotating. This isn't the only mystery out there in the universe, but researchers say that when we do understand what dark matter is, it could be the key to understanding the universe. Ocean mysteries interest many of us. This is perhaps due to the fact that our oceans are so vast. We've only mapped out a small percentage of the underwater world, and it's thought we know more about the moon than we do our oceans. Probably one of the most unbelievable occurrences of the modern era is that of disappearing islands. Interestingly, many of these islands can be found on old maps. What's confusing, however, is when we try to find them today, they're nowhere to be seen. Though most of these causes are unexplainable, it's important to be aware of such a phenomenon to better understand what could possibly be the cause for a future discovery. Made popular by the BBC's World Service documentary Mexico's Missing Island, Bemidja Island is a phantom island that, according to maps as recent as the middle of the 19th century, should currently be lying off the north coast of the Yucatan Peninsula. However, a survey done in 1997 was unable to locate the island, and seemingly found that it had vanished from existence. Researchers would later be the ones to find definitive proof of the existence of the island. The disappearance of these documents, however, then started theorists to start doubting what happened. It's now thought the Central Intelligence Agency had something to do with the vanishing of the island. It's thought that a plot by the United States Secret Intelligence Agency was put into place, and they had actually destroyed the island out of existence. It does seem, however, that the island did once exist at some point in the past. So what do you guys make of this? Let me know in the comments what you think happened to the island. Another island that mysteriously disappeared is that of the Emerald. In December of 1812, Emerald Island was first sighted by the British ship named Emerald, hence where the island had received its name from. Due to a lack of consistent reports or of other accounts of the island ever existing in the first place, it was believed the Emerald Island was nothing more than an enormous claim from the captain of the Emerald. It's thought that he may have done this in a plot to become famous. This would later be proven not to be the case, as the exact coordinates provided by William Elliot would show a rise in the ocean floor, suggesting the existence of an island peak. Emerald Island was removed from the charters and MAMs. This was after an 1840 U.S. expedition failed to find anything resembling an island, and further trips didn't turn up any island. There seems to be an unreasonable amount of disappearances that occur in national parks from around the world, an almost disproportionate amount given any other areas it's compared to regarding visiting populations of any kind. Of course, skeptics may argue that it makes sense for there to be so many disappearances given the fact that national parks are massive, and to the untrained individual could potentially be a death sentence if they happen to get lost. However, this does not appear to be the case. Many people walk into a national park and are never seen or heard from again. This strangeness is compounded when regarding information surrounding the missing hikers and campers. There are many experienced hikers and campers who disappear completely. Some such hikers even laying out plans of travel, backup phones in case of emergency, telling family members and friends where their trail will be covering, and so on. But when research parties go out to find them, not a single clue has been left behind, and it's a mystery as to what happened to them. Between Las Vegas, Reno, and Fresno, there lies an area that's become known as the Nevada Triangle. The most famous triangle is the Bermuda Triangle, but this location has had its fair share of strange happenings. Scientists have said that around 2,000 planes have gone missing in the area. There have also been many people that have gone missing. Some people who've been in this region have come forward with bizarre encounters. One person said that while in the area, they were approached by an elderly man. The woman was asking for directions and the man was telling her where to go. At first everything seemed fine, but when she turned around to thank the man, he was nowhere to be seen. The individual insists that to this day she has no idea where the man went. Then there's the reports of mysterious lights in the sky. For many years now, people close to the area have reported mysterious objects in the sky. These unidentified objects usually range in size from 20 to 65 feet and give off bright colors. The strangest thing about these tales is how they suddenly vanish without a trace. One person even reported that one of the objects appeared to follow her. Even after she got in her car, the object stayed in the sky above her. After this encounter, she said she went on to have nightmares for the next few weeks. Whatever is going on in this area seems to be affecting quite a few people. As of right now, most of these encounters remain a mystery. For the last 30 years, people have been encountering black-eyed children. These entities are said to have a dark presence, and whenever someone encounters them, they feel fear. Those who have seen them say they give off a dark energy and that it left them feeling scared. Most of the people who have seen them want answers, but unfortunately are left with more questions than answers. The witnesses often feel the children were somehow supernatural and could even read their minds. Over the years, many people have come forward with their encounters, and this seems to be a recurring theme. These black-eyed children usually prey on people when they're alone, and one of their main goals is to try and gain access to the person's home. It's not known what happens if they did gain access to your home, but some have come close. They usually say things that they need to contact someone. Further saying, can they come and start and use the phone? Most people would probably say yes if they saw a young person in need, but it's the nature in which they say it. Most of the witnesses say that something doesn't feel right and that the energy around these people feel dark. Not only this, but the fact they have jet black eyes doesn't help the situation. One woman come forward with her encounter. She said the following. My parents went on holiday when I was 16 and left me to look after the house and pets. I live in a lovely road, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. We've lived out in the country for years and never encountered anything strange. However, on this particular night that all changed. It was around 9 p.m. and I heard a knock on the door. We have a detached house, but we're friends with many of the neighbors, so I thought it could have been one of them. However, when I opened the door, I was greeted by two young children. And I'd never seen his children before. Before I could get a word in, one of them asked for a drink of water. This threw me off and I replied with no, but then said, "Is there anything else I can help you with?" They were wearing hoodies and pulled the hoods from their heads, and this is when I saw their eyes. I'll never forget it. They were completely blank. I quickly shut the door and locked it. I ran to my room and called my mom, explaining what had happened. Over the next week I got one more visit from these children. However, I didn't answer. I couldn't understand where they'd come from and what they wanted. I would never have let them inside my house, but I wonder what would happen if I didn't. To this day I still wonder what their true intentions were. So my question to you guys is, have you ever encountered these black-eyed children? If not, do you think they're real or just folklore? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Some of the most unexplored places on the planet are mountains. This is due to the overgrown wildlife, impossible to pass terrain, and the overwhelming obstacles they hold. The Untersberg Mountains can be found between Germany and Salzburg. However, this region also goes by another name, the Untersberg Portals. This place is said to be the home of many mysterious entities. Strange beasts have been encountered here, and it's even thought that a lost civilization may call this place home. Many who have ventured close to the mountains have said they feel a dark presence. The supernatural presence here is common, and even non-believers have had encounters they struggle to explain. One strange story involves that of a dwarf-like creature. These creatures are said to befriend people in the mountain. They look similar to humans and try to get you to follow them back to where they live. However, it becomes apparent that these creatures do not have good intentions. They lead you away from past and try to get you into tough situations. It's thought they're similar to the duende. This is a fairy or goblin-like mythical creature from Latin America and Filipino folklore. In Hispanic folklore of Mexico and the American Southwest, these are similar to gnome-like creatures who live inside the walls of homes. People who have also ventured to the mountain are said to never return again, which is one of the reasons it gets the name Unterspur portals. Hikers have reportedly lost many hours while walking here, and when they try to remember what happened they can't. In some cases, people have said they somehow traveled many miles away within a span of just a few minutes. On top of this, there have been many UFO reports in the area. Some have even speculated this area is some type of wormhole. Theorists claim the reason people lose track of time is because they've been abducted. Small orb-shaped UFOs have been seen here. And some hikers have even said the bright lights have followed them. One person described a bright purple orb that flew towards her face. It kept doing this until she left the area. Another entity that's commonly seen here is the black shadow figures. These black masses are said to have the shape of a human but move like a liquid. They are able to appear out of nowhere and are thought to be paranormal in nature. As of today, this region is one of the most strangest places on the planet. The Hayabusa forest has been a hotbed of mysterious reports from the locals living in Transylvania. The legends of the area go back to times from its original finding, including claims of vampire entities roaming through its trees. Further investigations from nearby residents have also located a large circular clearing at the center of the forest, and what's strange is that it seems to not be visible from above. This clearing is reported as being a portal into another dimension, and that those who enter it may never return after doing so. Tourists often report sudden feelings of intense anxieties and nausea as they begin approaching towards the center of the forest. There also seems to be a record number of panic attacks reported in the region as well. Over the years, many people have come forward with stories that involve the paranormal. One person said that they experienced what they called a black mass in the forest, further saying that it reminded them of a shadow. And when they looked at it, they had felt as if all their energy had been drained from them. Others have said that while walking through the forest they have seen glowing orbs of light, and that they seem to be controlled as they can be seen bouncing through the trees. These objects measure between 30 centimeters and 2 meters in size, make no noise, and are most commonly seen at night. It's unknown what they are, but locals are aware of them and have been seeing them for the last few decades. There are also reports of overbearing paranoia as more and more tourists visit this location in awe. Interestingly enough, some tourists have made a strange connection between the nature of the forest and numerous different extraterrestrial encounters in the past. Apparently, there seems to be a connection between the sudden feelings of paranoia and anxiety in the forest and that of sudden encounters with extraterrestrials. Many often report that when an alien ship is nearby, whether they're aware of it or not, they all suddenly feel a terrible anxiety and panic come over them, similar to that experienced in the forest of Hobashu. This has led some theorists to believe that perhaps the area is inhabited or visited by that of extraterrestrial beings. Regardless of this belief, scientists are still unable to explain the constant feelings of dread and anxiety experienced by those who visit the forest, and believe it to potentially be a strange and unique case of mass hysteria caused by the reactions of others that built up in large rooms. Over the years, historians have been able to uncover many mysteries from the past. However, there are many cities hiding underwater, buried under the sand and forgotten in jungles. There are even civilizations who mysteriously disappeared and no one ever heard from them again. These lost civilizations are one of the biggest mysteries of our past, and it's hard to believe that such a big amount of people can disappear so quickly. Many people believe these were only migrations due to extreme weather changes. But there are theories claiming an entirely different story. Lying deep in the Taklam-Mekong Desert on the southern rim of the Darim Basin, you can find the archaeological site known as Nia. The region of Nia is often known as the Pompeii of the East. No one knows what happened to the residents of Nia and why they abandoned their city in panic. The residents of the ancient city disappeared, leaving their dogs, food, clothes, and basically everything behind. They fled for their lives from something unknown to us. A British archaeologist rediscovered the ancient city of Nia back in 1901. The city comes from the fact that it lies near a younger and smaller city by the same name. This city lies near the Nia River. The ancient city is believed to extend 25 kilometers or 50 miles north-south. Thanks to the available historical tags, the ancient ruins lie in a geographical era that was once the ancient kingdom of Junji. The artifacts found at the ruins of ancient Naya suggest the city was a prominent stopping-off point of Silk Road. The ancient city had only 480 households, 3,360 individuals, and around 500 soldiers at the time. Knowing that Naya lays directly on the southern route of the Silk Road, it's hard to deduce whether all the goods actually passed through Naya. There were no other major cities in the region, so there is a possibility Naya was a provider of the basic needs required by many travelers. Many researchers believe that it was a key stopping-off point along Silk Road. The remnants unearthed at the area also bear witness to the city's importance as one of the cultural crossroads. There are images of flying dragons in many shapes, the Buddhist paintings, and many other artifacts that were retrieved from gravesites at Naya. Sadly, we have no idea what happened to the residents of Naya and why they decided to abandon their city to never return. Many people try to come up with an idea, but there are no results and no proof, and researchers think the mystery may never be solved. It's not every day that we hear about mass disappearances. Over the years, however, some of these have been documented. Each mass disappearance brings a lot of mystery, tragedy, and curiosity. There are many civilizations, villages, and people who've been missing for a long time. Some have been missing for centuries, and we still have no information to understand how it all happened. Migration and sacrifice are often one of the reasons people disappear. But some of these cultures have disappeared without leaving a single trace behind. No one knows whether their lives were taken away or whether they were just left on their own. There are many theories connecting all of this to the paranormal, but there is no proof to back this up. Some of these civilizations were knowledgeable, with some even possessing great knowledge and skill. As one of the most famous incidents in North American history, the mysterious village of Androcuni has much speculation over the years. The lake is located along the Kazan River in Canada. This area is known for legends of malicious wood spirits and even beasts such as the Wendigo. One of the most thought-provoking tales is also the one surrounding the disappearance of the villagers who once lived on the coast of Androcuni's waters. It was November 1930, and a Canadian fur trapper, Joe LaBelle, was looking for a place to warm up and stay the night. He decided to visit an Inuit village located on the rocky shores of the Lake Androcuni. He visited this area before, and according to his story, the area was bustling with tents, huts, and friendly locals. After arriving in the village, he realized it was pretty empty. There were no people or dogs barking as usual. There was not a single sound of life in the village. It's extremely difficult to imagine what made all of these people leave the safety of their homes through tools and dogs. There were no signs of any struggle and no indications of any violence in the area. Many researchers over the years have tried to find logical explanations about this event. If the lives of the Inuits of the Androcuni were really taken away by force, there would be some indication left behind. These were approximately 30 men, children, and women. They lived their lives working, playing, and enjoying what they had around them. Their disappearances brought up many theories. But even today we have no explanation for this event. The mystery still lives on, and over the years many different theories have been put forward to try and explain their disappearance. The Thunderbird is a creature that has been witnessed by humans for hundreds of years. Although it's tough to give an accurate description, most of the witnesses describe a large bird that's often seen flying overhead. These sightings and birds were given the name Thunderbirds, as they seem to share a lot of characteristics, and most notably their size, to that of the ancient Native American traditions and mythologies surrounding a large flying creature referred to as the Thunderbird. This has left many people wondering, however, if this creature is a modern-day sighting of a pterosaur. Additionally, the Thunderbird is described as being the size of a man when standing upright, with a wingspan of over 16 feet in length. This has left many cryptozoologists working around the clock to calculate its possible flight patterns and capability of sustained flight given its size. It's due to this that cryptozoologists say the Thunderbird originally was referred to by Native American traditions, because the creature would follow the upwind draft created during a large thunderstorm to sustain their weight, size, and movement. Very similar to the way modern-day eagles ride up the side of mountain currents to gain height with little required work on their part. A normal-sized bird would be torn up to unsustainable heights during a thunderstorm and might find themselves in unstable flight positions, causing them to be thrown to and fro. However, a bird the size of a thunderbird would be able to stabilize their flight due to their weight and size even when affected by such forces. One place where this giant creature has been seen is the area of Bridgewater Triangle. This place encompasses roughly 200 square miles and the majority of southeastern Massachusetts, located in the United States. Here, native tribes have whispered about the legend of the thunderbird and how they think it could be an undiscovered species of bird. Another place where this mysterious cryptid has been witnessed is above Skinwalker Ranch. This is a place that's become known for paranormal entities, of which include poltergeist dogmen and thunderbirds. One of the witnesses said the following about their encounter. While driving close to Skinwalker Ranch, we saw a massive shadow in front of our car. We pulled over and looked into the sky and saw what appeared to be a giant bird. Me and my friend guessed that its wingspan was at least 15 feet. We've never seen anything like this before, and to this day we have no way of explaining it. One of the most incredible advancements that the early ancient Egyptian civilization made during the height of its reign was that of the advanced forms of early mathematics. This would eventually take the rest of the world thousands of years to later rediscover and practically use for their own developments within architecture and problem solving. Though many historians and Egyptologists originally believed that the ancient Egyptian civilization only had a basic system of linear mathematics, this theory proved to be completely untrue. It appears that not only were the mathematical developments far more superior than previously understood, but that work to uncover more of their discoveries is still going on, as it appears their mathematics might be more advanced than our own understanding today. The ancient civilization of Egypt has always been shrouded in mystery. It's well known all across the world that pyramids are one of the most mysterious buildings ever discovered. Even today, researchers and Egyptologists struggle to come up with an answer as to explain the cause of its creation and the purpose the structure held. This mystery has seemingly only become more complex as more discoveries surrounding the structure have been made every year, some more baffling than the last. Definitely one of the most puzzling mysteries on the planet is the Great Pyramid of Giza. They have been classified as one of the 7 wonders of the world, and the sheer size, precision and manpower required to build such a colossal structure is nearly impossible even in the modern era. As new discoveries and 3D mapping of the pyramids continued, even more mysterious natures of the structures were found. Archaeologists and Egyptologists found high trace amounts of chemical compounds throughout the shafts of the pyramids. These are thought to have the ability to generate a massive amount of hydrogen by utilizing commonly found best chemicals in the region. Many of us have heard about the great mysteries of Egypt, but one that many aren't aware of is the missing capstone of the Great Pyramid. Some may not know, but for many years the Great Pyramid has been missing several meters from the top. Researchers and Egyptologists have put forward the theory the pyramid originally had a smaller pyramid. This is known as a pyramidion. The pyramidion is the uppermost part or capstone of an Egyptian pyramid. So the first question that many people ask is what happened to it? This could come down to Imhotep's actions. Imhotep was still around when Khufu started to plan his pyramid. Some theories have been put forward that Imhotep actually told the king to hide the tip inside the pyramid. Going back over 100 years, the incredible black granite pyramidium was found in the sand. This has made researchers think the tip of the Great Pyramid is still out there somewhere. The Great Pyramid is also known for its mysterious tunnels, and it's been suspected that it could be hidden in one of these. Since the dawn of humanity, we've been at a constant rate of breakthroughs and discoveries. Every year it seems that scientists and researchers discover new and exciting breakthroughs. These discoveries usually make the news, and this one is no different. A Russian scientist known as Dr. Anatoly has injected himself with bacteria. Now, although this has been done before, what's different about this case is that the bacteria in question is 3.5 million years old. Not only is that mad or incredible, depending on your view, but he's even said this is the elusive key to eternal life. The bacteria was discovered in the Siberian permafrost, and after performing the test, he said that it made him feel stronger and healthier. What's interesting is that these tests have also been undertaken on animals, and have shown that cells increased in physical activity in a fortified immune system. The Russian media have said that since doing the test, the scientist hasn't become ill in over 2 years. The bacteria has been called Bacillus F, and some researchers have put forward the idea that this bacteria could be the key in helping humans to live longer. After this was discovered, the scientists were excited to test it out. However, some were surprised that one of the scientists put himself forward. However, not long after having the bacteria in his body, he reported that he felt great. He claims the following: a strong and healthy body that is resisting time better than it did before. What's interesting about this bacteria is where it was found. Siberia is known to be one of the harshest places on the planet. The scientists said that due to global warming across Siberia, the permafrost had started to melt and the bacteria then started to make its way into the natural environment, getting into the water supply of local populations. After observing the local Yakut people, he picked up on the fact that many of them lived long lives. He then suspected they'd been ingesting this bacteria for a while. However, some people said that it was lucky this bacteria didn't harm anyone. The problem with bacteria being frozen for millions of years is that if it was harmful, we'd have no way of fighting it. For all we know, there could be bacteria frozen out there that could wipe out much of the population. More worryingly, the World Health Organization has said that it would take around 12 months to create an effective vaccine. So what do you guys make of this? And do you think we should be testing these newly discovered bacteria? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Dr. Stephen Hawking had one of the greatest minds on this planet. Before his passing, the great theoretical physicist wrote about his fears of greenhouse gases and the effects they're going to have on our planet. Over the years, he made thought-provoking arguments about the probability of events that could spell disaster for the whole of humanity. By his calculations, Dr. Stephen Hawking stated it would only take as little as 100 years before humans would be unable to inhabit our planet Earth any further. The cause for such calculations he regarded were due to several factors that most people never took into consideration. Considering the fact that as temperatures have risen, this has caused water vapors from the oceans to form, which in turn creates additional greenhouse effects. It's impossible to stop the effects of climate change regardless of how many emissions are cut unless every single emission is reduced by 100% and a technology capable of causing an artificial cooling is created. Given these factors alone, one would not be surprised in the slightest by Dr. Stephen Hawking's predictions, but his doomsday fortune does not stop there. Not only does he cite global warming as an issue, but he also believed and argued that we have reason to fear other advancements as well. It's always worrying when great minds come out with these predictions. However, it does seem like the scientific community is doing their bit to battle this. The scientific community has come forward and said they think it's a good idea to spray chemicals into the sky to stop global warming. As you can imagine, this didn't go down well. This proposal is based on a new published scientific research, and it suggests we need to start spraying chemicals into the stratosphere. This aerosol injection is said to be able to reduce the global warming rate by as much as 50%. The way they will do this is by spraying high amounts of sulfate particles into the lower stratosphere. This will start at around 12 miles up. The technology, according to the scientists, currently doesn't exist to get the chemicals up there, but they say the technology is well within human capabilities. It's been said the researchers have settled upon an aircraft-based delivery system. The scientists said the following: unlike the one prior comprehensive study on this topic, we conclude that no existing aircraft design, even with extensive modifications, can fulfill this mission. However, we also conclude that developing a new purpose-built high-altitude tanker would neither be difficult nor expensive. Some have come forward and said this mission could have effects on our weather, and this could lead to bigger, unintended changes. Going back a few years ago, the Toms of India announced they had discovered something interesting inside a cave. Dr. Baggett said that he and his team found something that resembled an alien and suggested the cave painting could be over 10,000 years old. He went on to say that he would like NASA's and the Indian Space Research Organization's opinion on the discovery. Some theorists have suggested that going back thousands of years advanced ancient civilizations flourished. And not only this, but they also left behind evidence. For example, some point the ancient stone figure found in a number of ancient Mayan ruins down in Guatemala. These feature an almost perfect recreation of a modern-day astronaut carved in stone. This stone figure has been at the center of many ancient civilization debates, and some claim that the gods were depicted in such a way due to the fact they were merely advanced creatures visiting from faraway planets. Paintings can be found in a cave close to central India. What's interesting is that when first viewing the paintings there are many that show humans and animals. However, it also stunned the researchers because it showed kangaroos and giraffes not native to India and fish-like creatures. However, it was this painting that stood out to the team. Dr. Baggett said the following about the discovery. The findings suggest that humans in prehistoric times may have seen or imagined beings from other planets, which still create curiosity among people and researchers. In a few pictures, they are shown wearing spacesuits. It's not the first time we have found cave paintings like this, but never until now with such detail. Flying saucers, equipment, spacesuits, depictions of abduction are some of the images that can be found in this region. Again, some suggest this shows evidence of beings visiting this planet in the past, but others are not so sure, with some saying that all it shows is tall-looking beings. Some skeptics have put forward the idea that these are just bad drawings and that we're looking too deep into them. Some theorists suggest that another location that could prove ancient civilizations existed is the Nazca Lines. These stretch for over 50 miles and have astounded archaeologists for many years. Found in this region are animals along with geometric shapes. Incredibly, some of these carvings measure over 600 feet across. What's interesting is that they can only be viewed from above. These were created during a time when flight was not even possible. So what do you guys make of these cave paintings in India? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. In many stories and legends from around the world, there are talks of giant men that once walked our planet. In fact, evidence of larger and more powerful humanoids are said to litter archaeological and evolutionary history, as well as many ancient historical records that detail events of great accuracy, and are often regarded as non-fictitious works that also make references to giants and their incredible nations. Over the years, some people have come forward and said that some of our most famous landmarks could have been built by larger humanoids. It's important to note, though, that scientists have said they've never found any indications that giant humanoids exist. These ideas are purely speculation. There is a place found in Russia that's shrouded in mystery. This is due to the fact that giant rock formations have been found here, and locals have been saying for years that they were placed here by giants. They say that thousands of years ago they lived in ancient civilization in the area that were made up of large humanoids. They had lived here for years and used to build giant structures from the land around them. The formations can be found in Siberia, and they are made up of large boulders that are believed to weigh in the region of 1,000 to 4,000 tons each. These megaliths are over 120 feet high. Some have compared these stones to other formations that can be found around the globe. Another one of these goes by the name of the fortifications of Mozyne. These discoveries continue to baffle engineers and architects to this day. The technique of masonry use is actually referred to as cyclopean masonry. It's claimed that each massive block was supposedly placed by hand by the Cyclops giants that inhabited the region. It was believed that the walls were created 3,500 years ago during the Late Bronze Age period, which seems baffling given the fact that the walls were completely without delay or technological limitation. Going back to the Russian megaliths, researchers have said that it's still confusing on how these structures came to be. It's been suggested that the smooth surfaces and accurate angles on such huge boulders indicate the use of massive tools, with some researchers saying that to achieve the same shape of rocks you would need modern-day machinery. However, some have hit back at this and have said that other giant structures were built by humans in the past, with some saying the Great Pyramids of Giza were created using manpower and suggest it's most likely the same thing that happened here. The Large Hadron Collider is the world's largest, most powerful particle accelerator. It first started up on the 10th of September 2008 and remains the latest addition to CERN's accelerator complex. The Large Hadron Collider consists of a 27-kilometer ring of superconducting magnets, with a number of accelerating structures to boost the energy of the particles along the way. CERN, the European Physics Research Center, recently upgraded the Large Hadron Collider. The upgrade comes 6 years after the collider managed to provide scientists with answers to a riddle when it confirmed the Higgs boson exists. Scientists claim the upgrade would help in boosting luminosity of protein-smashing experiments at the Large Hadron Collider. This is located 17 miles underneath the border of Switzerland and France. It should help to boost the amount of particle collision tenfold, which would then give a much clearer picture of the subatomic world. Scientists working at the CERN Nuclear Physics Laboratory have recently been investigating a new particle. This strange particle came into existence during experiments at the Large Hadron Collider, and it's said that it has twice the mass of a carbon atom. The scientists were initially excited with this discovery, but then came the questions. Since the discovery, scientists have been trying to figure out theories of reality that do include the particle. Their top scientists then gathered together to discuss the new particle and how it was spotted. However, this isn't a quick task. Whenever there is new findings like this, it can take over a year to confirm what it is. Although this news is exciting, we will have to wait for further updates. However, one independent study has already confirmed possible evidence regarding the new particle. What has scientists confused is that they're struggling to come up with models that include this particle. This doesn't mean their work is wrong or that the particle doesn't exist. It just means more research needs to be done. As mentioned recently, the Large Hadron Collider had an update. This lasted a decade long and had a budget of $953 million, with scientists using the money to help the collider to send out more data every year in regards to particle collisions. The focus of the upgrade to the Large Hadron Collider is on the beams of protons smashing together, which in turn boosts the luminosity. This means more collisions along with a bigger chance of scientists being able to find something unusual. The Director General CERN said the following: "This will allow us to address new questions. The outstanding questions in fundamental physics, with more opportunity to find answers. For me personally, solving the mystery of the dark matter of the universe would be something great. Of course, it would be fantastic to produce the dark matter particle in the collision of the Large Hadron Collider beams." In 1973, a computer program was developed at MIT to model global sustainability. However, it ended up doing something that surprised many. It predicted that by 2040, everything living on Earth would come to an end. Over the years, there have been many people that have made claims about our world ending, but this computer could be onto something. After all, the date of our supposed extinction hasn't come yet according to the computer. This world-ending prediction was made by a computer named World 1. What World 1 showed us was that global expansion will cause itemize, and this will happen by 2040. Worryingly, that's just over 20 years away, and if correct, will happen during many of our lifetimes. The program reported the following. At around 2020, the condition of the planet becomes highly critical. If we do nothing about it, the quality of life goes down to zero. Population becomes so serious it will start to affect people, which in turn will cause the population to diminish lower than it was in 1900. At this stage, around 2040 to 2050, civilized life as we know it on the planet will cease to exist. Although worrying, there is a way we can counter these claims, but even some scientists have said that if we don't change our ways, other lives could come a reality. Another person who allegedly saw into the future was Baba Vanga. From a young age, Ivanka lost her sight. However, that didn't stop her, and she became well known in her local village. She was taken to a school for the blind. She spent 3 years there, and she got taught to read, clean, cook, and even play the piano. Unlike Nostradamus, she never wrote any books herself. She mostly spoke to people and gave them wise words. She'd been visited by thousands of celebrities from all over the world. Presidents, business leaders, politicians, writers, philosophers, and even scientists. Many people worldwide believe she possessed paranormal abilities. There are also various 22nd century predictions made by Baba Vanga. Some of them speak of humans turning into cyborgs, live robots, animals becoming half-humans, and new religion signals from space, and even an artificial sun that uses nuclear energy. Interestingly, she also said that by the year 2097, humans find a way to stop and even reverse the aging process. What makes Baba Vanga stand out is that many of her predictions did come true. This led many to believe that she was the real deal. Those who study the figures of history of whom have worked tirelessly to help shape our world, then you will know there is no man out there who fits the description better than the inventor Nikola Tesla. Essentially forming the basis of the modern world, Nikola Tesla single-handedly helped us plunge into the new millennium, and it appears that history is almost completely forgotten about him. Responsible for more than 300 patents, with some still being discovered even to this day in old offices. Recently, a new interview has just resurfaced. It reveals new information about Tesla himself and how he almost achieved a new state of enlightenment in a never-seen-before interview. This interview that recently leaked has left many people confused, while others are still trying to decode many of Tesla's theories to this day. Many of his theories remain unsolved, and even the great minds of today are still trying to figure them out. Incredibly, during this interview, Tesla claims that he has conditioned his body in such a way that he was able to reach enlightenment. He states that he was able to fully attune his body so that he could wake up and sleep at any time he wishes. This is just one of the ways he alters his body to suit his needs and to achieve what he did. Tesla is a true believer that everything is made out of matter. It all begins and ends with matter, and sound will never disappear once it's created. He firmly believes in laws of creation and applied them to all of his theories. Tesla said the following during the interview. "I wanted to illuminate the whole Earth. There is enough electricity to become a second sun. Light would appear around the equator as a ring around Saturn. Mankind is not ready for the great and good. In Colorado Springs, I soaked the Earth by electricity. Also, we can water the other engines, such as positive mental energy. They are in the music of great composers or in the verses of great poets. In the Earth's interior there's energy of joy, peace and love. Their expressions are a flower that grows from the Earth, the food we get out of her and everything that makes man's homeland. I've spent years looking for the way this energy could influence people. The beauty and the scent of roses can be used as a medicine and the sun's rays as a food. Life has an infinite number of forms. And the duty of scientists is to find them in every form of matter. 3 things are essential in this. All that I do is search for them. I know I will not find them, but I will not give up on them." So what's your guys' opinions on Nikola Tesla? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Antarctica is one of those places that's shrouded in mystery. Recently, researchers announced that a giant iceberg had broke free from the Larsen Sea ice shelf. It's been estimated the iceberg had a volume of water twice that of Lake Erie, and it covered over 2,300 square miles. Scientists have said that this ice sheet has exposed a large stretch of ocean, and this ocean wouldn't have seen the sunlight for over 120,000 years. Researchers from the British Antarctic Survey were excited by this news and wanted to visit the region as soon as possible. One of the researchers said the following: "We have a unique opportunity to study how marine life responds to dramatic environmental changes. It's exciting to think what we might find." Using a range of different techniques, our multidisciplinary approach by an international team will examine the marine ecosystem spanning the water column from the surface of the ocean all the way to the seabed in the sediment. What some people have pointed out is the fact that biologists may find new species of marine animals. If they're found under this ice sheet, it could help us to understand how these creatures adapted to harsh conditions. However, soon after putting plans into place, the researchers were met with some bad news. They encountered thick ice and it slowed down the process of being able to run experiments. This year, however, another team of researchers are planning to do the same journey. The team is from Germany and they got there a few days ago. They will stay there for around 9 weeks and carry out various tests. However, like with the previous team, their success will depend on weather conditions. It was announced that a few days ago the team encountered a large amount of sea ice. The ship's captain then decided it would be best to scrap the mission. However, this team did have a backup plan. Instead of going to the original route, they went further north. Conditions were not as harsh and they were able to carry out a few experiments. They were able to use video cameras and special equipment to capture tiny marine creatures. The study is still going on. But it's been said they've already discovered new species. Our oceans are so vast it's been estimated we've only explored around 5%, and scientists have said that we have so much more to learn every year. Around 1,900 marine species new to science are added to the register. Over 241,000 marine creatures have already been described. So it's anyone's guess as to what could be lurking in the dams. The Baltic Sea anomaly made headlines around the world when it was first discovered. The anomaly is said to be 60 meters in diameter and can be found on the sea floor of the northern Baltic Sea. It was discovered by Peter Lindberg, Dennis Asperg, and their Swedish OceanX diving team. The discovery was made in June 2011, and this was while they were searching for an old shipwreck. According to OceanX, the formation has an appearance of rough granite and is 3 to 4 meters thick and approximately 60 meters in diameter. The anomaly is also sitting on an 8 to 9 meter tall pillar-like feature and can be found at a depth of 85 to 90 meters. Going back a few weeks ago, the team returned to the site, and while here they dropped down a remotely operated vehicle. However, when it reached a few meters above the anomaly, the team said the compass went berserk. What's interesting is the first time they went to the anomaly, something similar happened. Peter Lindberg said the following about the event. It was very difficult to understand what the remotely operated vehicle was because of the terrible visibility and because of the compass that went berserk. The compass was living its own life and the tether was snagged all the time. As mentioned during one of their previous expeditions, it was reported that divers exploring the anomaly said their equipment stopped working as they approached it. Professional diver Stefan Hageborn had this to say: anything electric out there and the satellite phone as well stopped working when we was above the object. When we got away around 200 meters it turned on again, and when we got back over the object it didn't work. The OceanX team reported on their second expedition they found something that looked like a staircase and a round black hole that went directly into their structure. A few months back the team gave out more information about what they witnessed while near the object. They said the structure has 90-degree angles and that it's unlike anything they've seen before. Something else that confused them is there's a large circular opening on the object. This doesn't look like something that appears in nature. And it seems to be out of place. They said that further study is needed, but that even if they did get close to it again, they're unsure as to whether they will be able to come to a conclusion. The next thing that stumped them was the stones found on top of the object itself. The divers said they found what appeared to be a circular-like formation. The thing that stood out is that it didn't look like it belonged there. One of the divers who went in for a closer look couldn't understand why they were in that formation. The team acknowledges the object could be a natural formation, such as a meteorite that penetrated the ice during the Ice Age or an underwater volcano, but they have their doubts and think this could be something entirely different. On the 19th of October 2017, astronomers first noticed an object traveling through our solar system. The object in question had come from another solar system. It became known as Oumuamua and had many people asking questions. It could be seen traveling around the sun and then shooting away again. However, after this it was not to return. Astronomers were able to record data on the object for a short period of time. It was in our solar system for over a century. The reason Oumuamua wasn't spotted until 2017 is because it wasn't close enough to reflect enough light for astronomers to pick it up. Even when it did get close, it was moving very fast and meant astronomers had very little time to observe it. Once the strange object flew around the sun, it was going further away, meaning it was getting fainter and fainter. The astronomers' very last observations from Hubble were on the 2nd of January 2018. On the 3rd of May, it was then seen outside of Jupiter's orbit. According to some, Oumuamua is expected to reach the Kepler belt around 2024. Since first being seen by astronomers, it's caused much speculation about what the object actually is. They are currently studying all the data and they have come to a conclusion about the interstellar object. The first theory that was put forward was that it was an asteroid. The scientists looked at the size of the object, which was around 2,600 feet or 800 meters long and around 260 showed a really strong non-gravitational acceleration. This tells the researchers that its motion indicated that gravity was not the only thing dictating its path. Ultimately, it would be very difficult to find out more about Oumuamua as it's no longer in the solar system. Many people have put forward their theories, one of which is that this object is extraterrestrial in nature. However, recently research carried out by Matthew Knight of the University of Maryland going on to say the following: "We have never seen anything like Oumuamua in our solar system. It's really still a mystery, but our preference is to stick with analogs we know. Unless or until we find something unique." The alien spacecraft hypothesis is a fun idea, but our analysis suggests there's a whole new host of natural phenomena that could explain it. The object is red in color, and this is similar to smaller objects that can be found around our solar system. However, astronomers stated the object was not moving as it should. They picked up on the fact that Oumuamua showed a really strong non-gravitational acceleration. As of right now, Oumuamua remains a mystery. Whether you believe in the paranormal or not, there's been some strange photographs taken over the years. What can be frustrating for some people, though, is when they encounter something they can't explain. What can be frustrating for some people, though, is when they encounter something they can't explain and are unable to get solid proof of it. It can lead them to questioning what actually happened and can turn into a frustrating situation. It's been speculated by paranormal researchers that babies and young infants are much closer to the non-physical energy than adults. This spiritual connection with Source enables them to be open to vibrations around them. As babies grow, researchers say they lose this close connection and it almost becomes dormant. Some believe that before birth, a baby's spirit exists in an in-between realm, between their mother's womb and the spirit world. This is allegedly why so many young adults claim to see paranormal entities in their younger years. While being young, it's said the veil between their world and the earth realm is still very thin, which allows them to see things adults can't. This isn't out there theory, and of course, not everyone believes in it. Paranormal experts, however, have said there are some common signs that indicate your baby is seeing spirits or sensing spirits around them. Babies frequently stare at a particular place of a room. Baby is laughing or smiling at something you cannot see. Baby is completely mesmerized by something they see, even if you're doing your best job to get their attention. And baby happily laughs and cries when they're alone in their cot. Over the years, some parents have managed to capture some strange things in their baby cams. A common thing for parents to hear is mysterious voices they don't recognize coming over the speaker. One parent said the following about what she experienced. "After putting my son to bed, I decided to go to sleep myself. He went to sleep fine, and this allowed me to relax. At around 1:30 a.m. though, I was alerted to a strange voice over the baby monitor. It was a low man's voice saying, 'I'm here.' After hearing the voice for the first time, I wanted to make sure I wasn't imagining it. After hearing it 4 more times, I jumped out of bed and ran into my son's room. His eyes were wide open and he was pointing in the corner of the room. I asked him if he was okay and if he'd seen anything, and he just replied with, 'The tall man in the corner was trying to get me.' All windows were locked and nobody was in the house except us. He now sleeps in my room." Found in Queensland, Australia, a little more than 25 kilometers from Cooktown. There is a mountain that's earned itself a name due to its peculiar nature and mysterious witness reports. The mountain is known as the Black Mountain, and not only is it famous for strange and unexplained disappearances, but it also appears to be at the center of strange, unidentified creatures roaming the mountain alongside shadowy figures. Many locals have often reported seeing the ghost of a medicine man standing on the many different boulders that litter the mountainside, as if his spirit plays a hand in the strange occurrences. Alongside this, reports have been made that farmers and ranchers traveling through the area alongside their herds of cattle have completely vanished, with the herdsmen and the entire herds of animals never to be seen or heard from again. Commonly, it's been noted by pilots that instruments of the aircraft will begin to act strangely, and that compasses will no longer point in the direction required to give a proper bearing when flying over the location. The locals have often told stories of travelers of whom were hiking the location and would trip or fall because they would feel as if hands would come from the ground and try to pull them underneath. Stories regarding the mountain are seemingly unending, and when asking any number of locals, stories will be told from many different perspectives and witness accounts that seem to be impossible to understand. Some have claimed the mountain is completely abandoned by wildlife and that animals will attempt to flee the area if they find themselves near. Others have claimed the mountain is living caves that will swallow up and digest anyone who enters. Over the years, people have told their stories when getting close to the mountain. There is the story of an alleged skinwalker that resides close by. Skinwalkers have been described by many people, but with encounters, they usually follow a theme. They are said to be most commonly seen in their human form. This way they can lure in other humans. Some tribes don't like to talk about them as they're said to bring bad luck. It's said that if you venture too close you'll be chased away by this beast. Some have described it as being a 7-foot man with long skinny arms. Others have reported seeing black masses close to the mountain. But when these apparitions are approached they simply vanish. Whatever you believe, there's no denying the mountain is shrouded in mystery. The dwarf planet Ceres is the largest asteroid in the solar system. This giant body has been called an asteroid for many years. Ceres is so much bigger and so different from other rocky objects that scientists classified it as a dwarf planet in 2006. The name Ceres comes from the Roman goddess of Cornwall harvest. It can be found in the astrobelt between Mars and Jupiter. Scientists think Ceres may have an ocean and possibly an atmosphere. The recent arrival of a probe has unlocked some of the dwarf planet secrets. Recently, NASA has released some high-resolution images that give a close-up look at the mysterious bright spots in Ceres. The images come courtesy of the NASA Dawn spacecraft, which could be found at the lowest orbit of the planet. The incredible photographs reveal the salt deposits, which is located in the Akrita crater of Ceres. The Dawn spacecraft captured the photographs on the 22nd of June 2018. Dawn is a space probe that was launched by NASA in September of 2007. Its mission is to study 2 of the 3 known protoplanets of the asteroid belt, Vesta and Ceres. The Dawn spacecraft was able to send back high-resolution photographs showing the rugged surface. The scientists were intrigued by the bright spots in the Akrita crater. The spots can clearly be seen in the high-resolution photos. This is due to the fact they stand out against what is essentially a dark backdrop. They are something the public, along with scientists, were amazed ever since Dawn first discovered them in 2015. On the 6th of June 2018, the spacecraft was at its lowest orbit and since then has managed to send back many photographs. It's thought we have over 1,000 photographs of Ceres. One thing that has baffled scientists is how Ceres evolved over time and how it managed to remain geologically active even though the planet is relatively small in comparison to other planets. NASA said the latest images to come from Ceres have a resolution that is less than 5 meters per pixel. The framing camera lead investigator Dr. Andreas said the following: "The data exceeds all our expectations." The orbit of Ceres is 22 miles from the surface, with NASA capturing the carbonate deposits on the southwest part. The salt deposits gave a huge clue about the current activity, while the Datron images will help scientists to find answers to how they got there. The results of the high-resolution images have been better than hopeful, as they will show the rich details of the planet, offering scientists, along with others, a glimpse of the beauty of Ceres. The low orbit meant that many more details could be seen on the planet, including the bright spots. Ceres may look dry and gray, but it probably held a liquid ocean in its past. A question that many of us have asked is, why are we here? It's perhaps one question that we'll never have an answer for. It's unknown why we're here, but one thing that is known is that the human body is incredible. 2 leading scientists have come forward and said the human brain is a biological computer, and the consciousness of a human being is a program that runs by the brain's computer. It's believed that within the human brain there resides around 86 billion brain cells. The soul is something that's made many people put forward different theories. Another recent study has shown researchers that electrodes can record the brain's electrical activity. This newly developed graphene-based implant can record electrical activity in the brain at extremely low frequencies. It's able to map brain activity in different regions, and this will allow us to understand what it looks like when everything is working. Incredibly, this new technology doesn't interfere with normal brain function. It's allowed us to see crucial information about different events. For example, epileptic seizures and strokes. This is a massive jump forward in regards to understanding how our brain functions. It's still early days, but it's thought this new technology will get used a lot in the future. Over the years, there has always been debate about the soul of a human and whether or not it goes on after life. There are those that believe your soul is what's keeping you alive, while others suggest the soul is nothing. However, recently researchers think they've found a new truth about the soul. They've put forward the theory that the soul doesn't die. It goes back into the universe. Dr. Stuart Hamroff, who is a physicist, and Sir Roger Penrose, a mathematical physicist at the Oxford University, have been working on the quantum theory of consciousness. Both of them suggest the soul of a person is in the microtubules of the brain cells. Their theory states that a human being's soul is contained within the cells of the brain and structures that are inside them. It sounds confusing, but the doctors think the human brain is just a biological computer, and the consciousness we experience is run by the computer inside the brain. This means it will continue to exist after the human has gone. Both of them suggest that what humans think of consciousness is the result of the effects of quantum gravity that is situated in the microtubules. Consciousness is perhaps the biggest mystery. After all, no one knows what happens when you pass away. But many do believe that consciousness goes back into the universe. The universe created you, and when it's your turn you go back into the universe. Recently, a ferry ride in Japan was cut short as the boat hit something large. The boat was near Sado Island when it encountered a large creature. The Japan Coast Guard has said it's investigating what happened. It's been reported that 80 people were injured and 13 of those sustained serious injuries. The Coast Guard released this statement. At around 12:15 p.m., the ferry collided with an unidentified marine animal. Once we inspected the boat, we discovered there was a 15 centimeters crack found at the stern. This is where the boat collided with the animal. The most likely answer is that the boat hit a whale or another large sea creature. However, the animal is still unknown and nothing has turned up. The vessel was able to finish its journey and arrived at its destination around an hour after the incident. Many people were shaken up as they didn't know what was happening. One of the passengers told reporters how they heard the sound of the collision. They were injured because they were thrown forward when they collided with the creature. People are now wanting answers for what the boat collided with and are also wondering if the creature is okay. This encounter has reminded many of the mysterious organism 46b. Russian scientists were in Antarctica and they'd been left baffled when they came across a creature they couldn't explain. The creature is said to be extremely hostile due to the fact it paralyzes its prey. The scientists said the creature is similar to a big octopus and has 14 arms. They eventually was able to restrain it, but Russian officials then seized the creature. Although these claims are incredible, there's little evidence to back them up. Some have suggested that what the team encountered was some kind of large squid. The giant squid can reach a massive size. Researchers believe it's able to get up to 13 meters or 43 feet long, with the females being a little shorter. However, some believe there is monster squid lurking in the dams. Some have come forward and said they've encountered squid over 50 feet, and this is why we have folklore stories about them. There's even one story of a giant squid measuring 53 meters long. This was spotted off the Maldives during World War II. The man who encountered this beast was named J.D. Starkey. However, we will go into more detail about this encounter in another video. Over the years, many people have reported seeing mysterious lights in Martha, Texas. For this reason, the lights have been called the Martha lights. What's different about these lights, though, is the fact they've been seen for many generations. Early settlers would describe seeing bright objects that pulsated, and when they tried to approach them, they simply vanished. The lights appear almost nicely and can be seen at a distance from Highway 90. One recent theory that's been put forward is that these lights are actually car headlights. And what people are seeing is the reflections. They're most commonly observed close to Route 67 on Mitchell Flat east of Martha, Texas. But the thing is, there's nothing around this location. It's mostly shrubs and desert, and as mentioned, these lights have been seen for hundreds of years. So that rules out the idea of it being cars. Some have suggested the lights could be a form of UFO. Over the years, quick-moving orbs have been linked to UFOs. Skinwalker Ranch is one property where these orbs have been seen. The family living here started noticing glowing blue balls moving around their property. The balls gave off a cracking sound, seemed intelligently controlled, and could either hover or move unbelievably fast. One evening the family watched as a blue ball approached one of their horses. The light hovered within a foot of the horse's face, which spooked it immediately. From a distance of 10 feet, they shined a flashlight on the blue globe and it retreated. It then approached one of the family members as if inspecting them. They described it as a glass ball about the size of a baseball, which appeared to contain two blue fluids which intermingled with each other. Some have suggested the Marfa lights are ball lightning. Ball lightning is the strange occurrence of when the conditions appear to be just right and the static discharge of a normal thunderstorm creates what appears to be a floating ball of pure lightning and energy. Not only do the strange unexplained instances of ball lightning create an unexplained perfect spherical shape, but they also appear to move erratically through the sky and have often been mistaken as alien encounters. Interestingly enough, scientists are no closer to understanding what causes ball lightning and believe the circumstances surrounding the appearance might be completely unexplainable. This is given the numerous amount of variables surrounding their creation. Additional information gathered by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration also show that these groupings of ball lightning appear to create strange instances of pure radiation, such as that of gamma and cosmic radiation. We've managed to accomplish a lot in a relatively short amount of time. We've already sent humans to live in space and to the moon. We've developed massive and very sophisticated telescopes and have sent robotics to Mars. Many organizations have decided to take it a step further. The European Space Agency and NASA have been working very hard to find out if we're completely alone. Today, we have a big number of projects that are made to scan the stars for signs of intelligent life. Despite our efforts, we have yet to make contact. However, this is mainly due to the fact the universe is massive. The number of known star systems and planets keeps on expanding. Scientists have many theories about why we haven't found any intelligent extraterrestrial life or why they haven't found us. Since we haven't made contact yet, one of the theories suggests there must be something stopping life from communicating with other alien species. The barrier we speak of is also known as the Great Filter. Great Filter is described as an event or a force that stops certain civilizations from getting close to interstellar communication or travel. Recently there's been talk about exoplanet Bernard Star B. This is the closest one to Earth and it's thought it could hold life. Scientists from the University of Pennsylvania said the following. Geothermal heating could support life zones under its surface, akin to subsurface lakes found in Antarctica. We note the surface temperature on Jupiter's icy moon Europa is similar to Bernard Star B, but because of tidal heating Europa probably has liquid oceans under its icy surface. The most significant aspect of the discovery of Star B is the two nearest star systems to the Sun are known to host planets. As mentioned, Europa is attracting a lot more scientific attention than for good reason. Europa is the smallest out of 4 Jupiter's large satellites, but it seems it might be the most important one too. Looking at Europa, it might be a possible host of new unknown life. As the brightest moon in our solar system, Europa is actually entirely covered with ice. The surface of Europa is pretty strange. It looks like broken glass and has no craters at all. According to the researchers, by studying Europa's density, it's pretty obvious that it has a lot of ice, which means there's a lot of liquid too. Certain models of Europa show there might be oceans as deep as 50 kilometers under the 5-kilometer crust of ice. As many of you know, organic carbon is the key building block of life, along with water, oxygen, and nitrogen-rich atmosphere. These are key elements that have to be present for life to grow and thrive. Recently, scientific studies have shown there could be several spots on our solar system that could hold life, but it's still thought that Europa is the most likely. Researchers and scientists believe Europa's water is in contact with the Moon's core. This means that it could be possible for chemical reactions to happen. Some have theorized that if we broke through the ice and into the ocean, it could be teeming with life. Europa is a geologically active world, and we know this because NASA's Hubble telescope has taken photographs. It's not a matter of whether life is out there. It's more a question of will we ever make contact? In the Milky Way galaxy alone, there's over 100 billion planets. In fact, researchers have come forward and said that number is on the lower end of the spectrum. They believe there could be more than 10 trillion planets in our galaxy. In the observable universe, there's estimated to contain 200 billion or 2 trillion galaxies. This gives you an idea to how vast the universe is. It's very likely there's over a septillion planets in the observable universe. So what do you guys think? Bearing in mind how many planets there are out there, do you think it's likely that other forms of life exist? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Aside from being one of the largest of the known carnivorous dinosaurs, Tyrannosaurus rex is the dinosaur that has received the most media exposure. The Tyrannosaurus rex had the strongest bite of any land animal, even harder than we previously thought. When computer simulations were used to simulate the T-Rex's bite, the results were quite surprising. The results were a maximum bite force of almost 13,000 pounds, about the equivalent of an adult's T-Rex's body weight chomping down on its prey. This means the Tyrannosaurus rex has earned the title of the hardest biting terrestrial animal ever known. This figure was 2 to 3 times greater than previous estimates, 6 to 7 times greater than the bite force they calculated for the dinosaur Allosaurus, and around 3.5 times greater than the hardest bite measured by an Australian saltwater crocodile. This giant predator lived during the Cretaceous period from 83 million to 66 million years ago. The Tyrannosaurus rex was one of the largest carnivorous dinosaurs that ever lived. It measured up to 43 feet long and weighed as much as 7 tons. One thing the T-Rex is known for is its small arms. Paleontologists studying them have said that due to their size, they wouldn't have been very useful. It's thought the arms were small in regards to the rest of the body because they simply weren't needed. The bite of this predator was so powerful, they didn't need any extra help. Even though they were small, it's still believed their arms were quite muscular and were able to bench press around 400 pounds each. The king of the dinosaurs needed thick-necked muscles to hold up its large skull and power its forceful bite. The anatomy of the Tyrannosaurus rex was mostly muscle, and this meant it was able to become top of the food chain during its time. T-Rex teeth were not that sharp when compared to other predators. This is because instead of gripping prey, their teeth would have been used to simply crush its prey. One way to tell a T-Rex tooth from another theropod is by looking at the thickness. They have a deep profile, and this would have been for withstanding all the pressure the skull put on them. We know that over the past 20 years scientists have proved that some species of dinosaurs had feathers, but what many have questioned is what Tyrannosaurus rex had. We have discovered that relatives of Tyrannosaurus did have feathers. These were smaller ancestors of the T-Rex and would have roamed around during the early Cretaceous period. Fossils of these relatives have shown stage 1 feathers. These are fine feathers as opposed to full feathers seen in modern-day birds. It's thought that Tyrannosaurus rex did not have feathers, but rather was covered with small protruding feather-like spines on the skull. One thing scientists have discovered is that T-Rex did leave behind scaly skin impressions. More research is happening as of right now to try and come to a conclusive answer. Another mystery was that did Tyrannosaurus rex always have its teeth outside of its mouth? Or did it have limbs? This may sound like a stupid question, but it's a valid one. In most artistic drawings, we see the predator has its teeth out. The current evidence suggests that if the dinosaur did not have a beak, then it would have had some kind of soft tissue covering the teeth. An abstract from the 2016 annual meeting of the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology said the following. The evidence from the study of fossil teeth enamel suggests the teeth were covered. One of the first people to bring this up was paleontologist Robert Rees. He suggests that theropods' teeth were not visible all the time. He states the teeth would have been hidden and covered by scaly limbs. It seems funny trying to imagine this because we're so used to seeing them with their teeth out, but these recent findings do point to them being hidden. For many years now, the scientific community have tried to determine the age of the planet. By dating the rocks in the Earth's crust and rocks from the Moon, scientists and researchers have been able to come up with an estimate. Rocks that have returned from the Moon have been dated to be 4.5 billion years old. These rocks support the idea that the Earth and the rest of the solar system formed around 4.5 billion years ago. Our planet has no shortage of minerals, and recently an Israeli mining company made an interesting discovery. While doing work, they came across a mineral that's never been discovered before. This mysterious rock was discovered in the northern mountains of Israel while working close to Mount Carmel. As you can imagine, this new discovery has caused heated debates and excitement for geologists. It's well known the International Mineralogical Association approves new minerals every year. In fact, it's believed that over 90 new substances are added to the list every year. However, it's where this mineral comes from that's causing the debate. It's believed this substance was once part of an extraterrestrial object. That doesn't mean alien per se, but for example, it could have come from outer space. The new mineral has many similarities to a mineral that was first discovered on a meteorite that fell to Earth in February of 1969. No mineral like this has ever been found to naturally occur on Earth until now. This new substance has been called carmeltazite. It was named after the location of where it was found. The site of the discovery was found embedded in cracks of sapphire, which is the second hardest mineral to occur naturally on Earth after diamonds. This new mineral closely resembles sapphire and ruby, and comes in a variety of different colors, some of which include orange, brown, black, blue, and green. After scientists had completed some tests on the new mineral, they discovered it's a lot rarer and harder than diamonds. This in turn makes it much more sought after and more expensive too. The formation was similar to that of diamonds too. The region is known for volcanic activity dating back to the Cretaceous period and is home to at least 14 volcanic vents that created the geological conditions needed over long periods of time. Scientists have said this mineral would have been formed around 18 miles below the surface of the Earth. Researchers are still studying the mineral to try and find out more about it. It's been suggested this site could be the only place where it's found, meaning it would be one of the rarest minerals on the planet. There is a theory that the Great Pyramid of Giza once had a giant swivel door at the entrance. It's thought to have weighed around 18 to 22 tons and could easily be pushed open from the inside. On the outside it was very hard to find because it fit perfectly. The swivel door was discovered when the Great Pyramid was first being explored. You could open the door from the inside with very little force, and this came down to how perfectly balanced it was. We are talking about an estimated 20 tons being moved with ease by a single hand. It remains a mystery how the Egyptians were able to cut and place these doors with such precision. Most of us are aware of the theories surrounding the pyramids, but one theory that has recently been gaining traction is that the ancient Egyptians were more advanced than first thought. Instead of them being a race that didn't have much, they were actually the opposite. Theories suggest the ancient Egyptians were more advanced than we are today, and that the reason they vanished was because of a natural disaster. This theory hasn't gone down well with professionals, but theorists think there could be some credibility to it. For example, in 2015, a thermal scan of the pyramids revealed the Great Pyramid has 3 areas along the bottom that generate some sort of heat. This has caused speculation as to why this area of the pyramid does this. Some have suggested there are small passageways beneath these heat points, which could lead to hidden chambers. Others believe the heat is being generated by leftover ancient technology that has long been forgotten. The argument that people make is that for a structure that was built thousands of years ago, it sure does baffle modern humans. According to early descriptions by an ancient historian, the original door of the Great Pyramid was hinged at the top and swung out. As mentioned, this door would have been so well balanced that it could have easily been opened from the inside. However, once the door was shut, it would be impossible to open from the outside. This, along with the actual structure itself, has caused many questions to be asked. Each block of the colossal structure weighs around 2.5 metric tons, with over 2.3 million blocks making up the entirety of the structure. Not only did this require 315 blocks to be moved into place every day for the next 20 years, but the mortar used is of unknown origin. It's been analyzed and its chemical composition is known, but it can't be reproduced. In central Texas, there is a lake known as Lake Buchanan. This lake is one of the largest lakes that can be found in central Texas. This lake is popular with the locals and it's common to see fishermen, campers, and swimmers. However, what some may not be aware of is the lake's mysterious past. Underneath this lake is what some people refer to as a ghost town. Residents moved to this area in the 1880s in the hopes of starting a new life. However, not long after being here, electricity became very popular, and the town needed a source of hydroelectric power and water. Officials decided it would be best to build a lake, and this became Buchanan. This decision, however, didn't go down well with the locals, as they had to sell their homes and relocate. As the locals were preparing for the dam, it was made clear that the community had to do things they didn't sign up for. Like working longer hours, relocating the graves of more than 300 people, and moving house furniture. The officials told the residents they didn't need to rush because it would take between 2 and 8 years to fill up the lake. This wasn't the case, however, as heavy rainfall caused the lake to fill up within a matter of months. After this, the town was completely submerged. Most people forgot about this until drought hit the area in 2009. The lake lost around 25 feet of water and revealed the ghost town for everybody to see. As you can imagine, people wanted to see it for themselves, and it attracted thousands of visitors. So that's the story of the mysterious ghost town of Texas. Over the years, many mysterious stories have come out of Texas. Perhaps one of the most spine-chilling is that of the alleged black-eyed children. One person said the following about their encounter. I live in Austin, Texas, and something really strange is happening. I was out shopping at my local store. It was late at night and I noticed these 2 kids standing outside the shop. I was worried and decided to walk past them to see if an adult was with them. However, that's when I noticed something odd. As they looked towards me, both the boys had jet black eyes. This threw me off and I continued shopping and then went home. I told my wife about what had happened and she suggested the boys were pranking me. I tried to reassure myself there was most likely an explanation for this. I even thought at one point I imagined it. Exactly a week later, at 7 minutes past 11 at night, I could see 2 shadows outside my house. The road I live on is very quiet and I know many of the neighbors. The 2 people standing outside were kids. However, when I looked through my window, I recognized them from the shop. I quickly alerted my wife and told her those were the children I saw. She said that it was probably a coincidence and the kids lived on the street. However, for the next few months the children stayed outside my house and looked in. The thing that made me feel uneasy was their jet black eyes. These kids have even knocked on my door on a few occasions. I've never answered it and don't plan to. I don't know what to do. It's fair to say that when it comes to things outside of our planet, humans don't really know that much. Scientists have recently come forward and said that our universe may be nothing more than a silver lining sitting within the edge of a bubble, and that bubble is constantly expanding into a higher dimension. Scientists have stated that the human brain cannot truly understand the full scale of the universe, and perhaps never will. The universe extends over tens of billions of light years. Many people can't wrap their head around this. Understanding the structure of the Milky Way is normally challenging. The solar system sits on the outer edges of a disk of material, and no one can see across the dense center to the other side. The Milky Way does not sit still, but it's constantly rotating. The solar system is always moving through space, meaning the sun and the solar system travel with them. The solar system travels at an average speed of 515,000 miles an hour. Even at this incredible speed, the solar system would take around 230 million years to travel all the way around the Milky Way. Bear in mind, this is how long it would take to travel just one galaxy. In the observable universe, there's estimated to contain 200 billion to 2 trillion galaxies. This gives you an idea to how monumentally vast the universe is. One starting revelation made by quantum physicists that's converted even the most optimistic individuals is the concept of the multiverse theory. When pondering the mathematical implications and probability of a universe forming as well as other theories in regard to dimensional mathematics, physicists began posting a thought experiment forward. Why did our universe form with these specific rules? With these specific numbers and laws of mathematics? Scientists believe the odds of this occurring are so astronomical and that it's far more probable that every variation of every possible universe exists to allow such occurrences. What's even more interesting is that researchers believe they have evidence of the multiverse theory occurring in the natural world. This is given the complete determination of quantum mechanics and its properties such as Heisenberg's uncertainty principle and the formation of virtual particles. This could very well mean that every possible variation of every universe and every decision ever made could more than exist and could potentially one day be explored. Philosophically, this idea could lead to new outlooks. That may lead people to discuss the meaningful implications of decisions. It seems though that we're no closer to understanding our universe. Hessdalen is a small village that can be found in Norway. At the beginning of the 1980s, many people came forward about seeing mysterious lights. The local residents couldn't explain where they were coming from. It wasn't just one or two lights being witnessed either. It's been reported that over 200 lights were seen within a week. People started to want answers for what was being seen, and Project Hessdalen was established in the summer of 1983. Investigations were carried out between January the 21st and February the 26th, 1984. Incredibly, 60 lights were seen during these investigations, but one of the issues was that no one had any idea where they were coming from. Since the 1980s, the lights have become less frequent. Instead of there being 50 to 60 reports a week, there's now around 15 to 25 reports a year. One eyewitness who lives in the area said the following about the lights. I've lived in this area and have seen the lights now for more than 10 years, and to this day I still have no idea what they are. At first I thought they could have been some natural phenomenon, but they don't look like anything I've seen before. Some of them move really quickly and others just seem to sit in the sky. The most common colors I've seen are purple and orange, and on some occasions I've watched these lights for over 20 minutes. It's not just me that has seen them either. Most of my family have seen them more than once. Although it doesn't happen all the time, when the lights do appear they seem to stay around for a while. Recently these lights were reported close to Hessdalen. The eyewitness said the following: I was driving close to a valley when I saw pulsating lights. They flipped on and off for around 30 seconds to a minute each time. They stayed in the sky for 15 minutes. What this person saw matches many other reports of the Hessdalen lights. Other people have also reported these lights ripping down the valley before suddenly fading away. Another common color that's seen is blue. These blue pulsating lights have also reportedly made people feel relaxed and calm. However, skeptics have come forward and said that these lights are being caused by the weather. They point to bald lightning for a possible cause of these lights. But due to how many times they're witnessed, this explanation is unlikely. This mysterious gridlock structure has been spotted off the coast of Cyprus. I've recently been sent a few emails in regard to this, and when first looking at the structure, it does look strange. Not much information is known about it, but the few people that have seen it have voiced their opinions. One person said it could be some type of station situated in the ocean. What most people can agree on though is that it does look artificial in nature. One person commented that it reminded them of a similar looking object. We have featured this object in a previous video and it's simply known as the grid anomaly. Back in 2011, an interesting post was made by a user that noticed strange and unusual ocean floor grid patterns that seem to be artificial in nature. This grid appeared to span 60 miles in width and 65 miles in length, and had numerous different. The post then goes on for several more paragraphs talking about how the carvings all throughout the area appears to be artificially created, with what is described as being similar to that of paved streets, walkways, and a number of smaller squares all throughout the region. What's strange is that they all seem to have 90-degree angles and look like modern-day property lands. At first, many rejected the discovery and believed the entire finding was nothing more than conflicting terrain maps compiled together by satellite data. However, the information surrounding these strange grid-like patterns found in many different parts of the ocean and have said it could be something historical. To this day, there still appears to be no explanation on the matter. Over the years there have been hundreds of predictions made, and some of these have come true. Many different people from across the world make predictions about the future of mankind in an attempt to better understand and combat changing industries, personal obstacles, and events that may spell out doom for the rest of us. These predictions could come from self-proclaimed psychics, emerging technologies, and artificial intelligence, investors looking to predict future decisions and impacts on the economy, or government research to provide intelligence relative to policy impact and decision-making. One individual that did make some interesting predictions was Professor Stephen Hawking. Unfortunately, on March 14, 2018, Professor Stephen Hawking passed away. Dr. Hawking fought and tamed the cosmos bravely for 76 years and taught us all something important about what it truly means to celebrate about being human. In the later years of his life, he put forward the ideas of exploration. Quite possibly one of the most thought-provoking arguments made by Dr. Stephen Hawking was his claims made about the possibility of events that could spell disaster for the whole of humanity. By his calculations regarding the overall probability of the Earth facing an event at such a large enough scale to cause human extinction, Dr. Stephen Hawking stated that it would only take as little as 100 years before humans would be unable to inhabit our planet Earth. The cause for such calculations he regarded were due to several factors that most people never even took into consideration. Not only is climate change and global warming an important issue that should be addressed, but by his calculations there is no possible way to overcome the issues regardless of any form of technological advancement. Dr. Stephen Hawking, most known to be referred to us as planetary colonizers, and makes the overall suggestion that not only will Earth be our home, but many other celestial bodies in the solar system may find themselves colonized as well. The last theory that Stephen Hawking was working on before he passed away has been revealed. Hawking was working on a theory that the universe may actually be a hologram. Many theoretical physicists believe that for a fraction of a second following the Big Bang, the universe expanded before settling into its present state. This is referred to as the inflation theory. However, this theory has lost traction over the years, and instead many now look to the multiverse theory. The multiverse theory is a hypothetical space or realm consisting of a number of universes, of which our own universe is only one. He never opened his arms to the multiverse theory. What Hawking suggested was that it's more likely the universe could be a hologram. There are many people out there that believe our ancestors were much more advanced than we think. Some say this is backed up by modern discoveries that prove they had a good understanding of engineering. Further saying that perhaps advanced civilizations flourished in the past and were far more abundant and capable than that of the current modern age. Originally seen as nothing more than a ridiculous theory, the idea of an advanced prehistoric age has come to the forefront in archaeological discoveries. What some people often struggle to understand, however, is what could have been the particular cause for these advanced civilizations and why it is today these ancient technologies have been lost to us. With that being said, however, every so often some of these designs come to the surface, and most of the time they leave us with more questions than answers. One of these discoveries happened in 1961 in Romania. An engineer discovered a strange-looking manuscript. He started looking through it and discovered that it details something he didn't expect. He noticed that in the manuscript it detailed some incredible concepts about rocketry at a time when these concepts did not exist. The person who designed these went by the name of Conrad Haas, and he lived between 1509 and 1576. It's incredible that someone during this time was even able to come up with these ideas. Researchers have said that he was the first person to put into writing the concepts of multistaging, further saying that his concepts were put to the test and they did in fact work. Incredibly, his work doesn't stop there. He went on to design in detail spacecrafts, delta fins, bell nozzles, and even liquid fuel. The CPU manuscript consists of around 450 pages, of which include the incredible designs of a 3-stage rocket. What's incredible is how someone born during this time was able to come up with these sort of ideas. Researchers have come forward and said there could be many manuscripts out there in the world that we do not know of, each one hiding secrets about our past. One thing that we do know is that this manuscript is real, and it goes into detail about rockets and liquid fuel. It was officially published in the 16th century. However, some have even said that it was written using text going back even further than that. It's these types of discoveries that make people say that going back humans were a lot more advanced than we thought. So what do you guys make of this? And how was someone able to design rockets this far back in the past? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Oftentimes in countries that have a beautiful countryside or an incredibly scenic and historically important area of wildlife, efforts will be made by the government to preserve this beautiful slice of nature. This is in the hopes of allowing the public at large to enjoy its unaging beauty for centuries to come. They do this by establishing federally protected locations that prevent further developments of any kind that could damage the protected area known as a national park or a wildlife preserve. Unfortunately, these unbelievably perfect natural sceneries also seem to hold a dark secret. There seems to be a large amount of mystery surrounding national parks, an almost disproportionate amount given any areas compared to regarding visiting populations of any kind. One of these comes from the Santa Fe National Forest. Going back, officials come forward about the appearance of mysterious wood structures. What's strange is that not only are they tall, but they seem to appear overnight. Most of them are between 6 and 20 feet in height, and after taking some of them down, officials said they were built using over 1,000 pieces of wood. One spokesperson said the wood structures are appearing at an alarming rate and their frequency have increased over time. The structures had park officials and even police officers baffled to how they were being created. One of these concerns was that these structures posed a huge fire hazard. This is because they've been compared to structures that resemble those they used to build wood fires in the forest. However, these ones are much taller. The worry wasn't so much that whoever was building them was going to create a fire, but the vandals may see them and want to set them on fire. If they were to be lit on fire, the authorities said it would be extremely hard to get them under control. At this moment in time, park officials have no idea who is building the large wood structures. And they can't figure out a motive behind the construction of them. Some have suggested it's just the work of a poor teenager. However, to build them at the rates they're being built, you would need an extremely large group of people. It's now been announced by the Forest Service that anyone caught building these wood structures will be Many believers of the paranormal state this possible for humans and pets to interact with ghosts. There have been many stories of people using ghost boxes to talk to alleged spirits. These boxes produce something that's known as an EVP or electronic voice phenomenon. However, some have debated these boxes as being fake. One person who recently come back from a ghost walk and started to experience something strange. She had this to say. After booking a local ghost hunt with my friend, I started to experience something weird. We'd always wanted to try it and finally got around to booking it. After the walk, we both went back to our separate houses. That night, I kept getting the feeling I wasn't alone. I had a bad nightmare that night and noticed my cat was acting weird. He kept looking at the bottom of the stairs and meowing. At 2 a.m. in the morning, I could hear the doors banging downstairs. Thinking I had a burglar, I called my dad. He arrived quickly, but we couldn't find anything that pointed to a break-in. My cat kept looking down the stairs every night for at least 4 months. Then suddenly one day he stopped and so did the random noises. I've never gone on a ghost walk again. Another witness had this to say, I've seen spirits my entire life. One of my first memories of a house my family moved into was when I was 9. On this particular occasion, I got into bed and saw the Hat Man standing near my closet. I was not asleep in the slightest. I had just got into bed and was sitting up. The last one I saw was around 2 years ago after I was outside smoking on my porch. I live on a very quiet suburban street. I saw someone walk down the cross street to my left and disappear under a street lamp. It's weird because I could clearly see that it had the silhouette of a human. But it wasn't human because it was so dark. And when it walked near the street lamp, it was just gone. This continued for years and I'd always see him inside the house. When I was 11, we got a cat. What was strange though is the cat would act strange when it was around me. It would almost try to avoid me. One night when I went downstairs for food, I saw the cat standing on its back legs meowing. It was a really bizarre sight and I think I may have witnessed something. After doing some research, it's been suggested that pets have a born instinct where they can see ghosts. I believe that what my cat witnessed that night was the Hat Man. There's some controversy over which snake is the largest, but most give this title to the reticulated python. However, there are those that have come forward and said they've encountered huge anacondas. With an average length of over 20 feet, the anaconda is one of the world's longest snakes. Some of these snakes are said to have reached lengths of up to 29 feet. However, some have said that they've encountered anacondas that are even larger than that. Over the past few hundred years, there have been many stories of giant anacondas around the Amazon basin. Native tribes in the eastern Ecuador region have come forward and told us stories of these giant creatures. They described giant snakes who were able to take down a whole group of hunters in an instant. Some of the tales are very well documented and told on from generation to generation. It's been suggested that these giant snakes were fed by the locals and they tried to avoid them at all costs. These snakes are common in the region and seeing one going back wasn't rare. People that did encounter them didn't want to take them on because of their great size. These were probably the last giants of serpents that were equipped with hundreds of pounds of powerful muscle and speed. It's said that a full-grown man has no chance of survival when encountering one of these giant reptilian predators. The locals have reported that these giant snakes can reach lengths of up to 50 to 100 feet long. However, as with most of these reports, they do remain unverified. The well-known observer Percy Fawcett from the Royal Geographic Society's contribution reported an encounter of an anaconda pushing 62 feet long. Fawcett with his native crew drifted along the Rio Ebuna when he spotted a great triangular serpentine head appearing at the bow of the boat. Fawcett opened fire, hitting the creature in the spine. In its last moments, the snake thrashed water all around the boat. The diameter of the snake's body was relatively small, only around 12 inches. Nevertheless, Fawcett had no way to carry the specimen back. A snake with those dimensions would weigh several thousand pounds. He went on to describe enormous trails in the sandbanks. These stories are also verified by inland rubber pickers and Indians who told stories about these giants. These snakes would leave trails in the swampy riverbanks around 6 to 7 feet wide. The Brazilian Boundary Commission mentioned also comparable sightings of these trails, which had been made by a snake of a monstrous size, at least 80 foot in length. Early explorers also mentioned reports of snakes 80 feet devouring animals as large as oxen and horses. The largest anacondas reported were a 95-foot 2-ton specimen reportedly shot in British Columbia, and a report of another snake that was captured that was at least 100 feet long. There are even historical reports of anacondas big enough to take down small houses and villages. Today there is still debate over how large the anacondas in the Amazon would be. Based on the reports and unverified measurements, 37 feet seems to be the largest. Although the largest confirmed anaconda was 27 feet and weighed 550 pounds. It still remains a mystery of what Percy Fawcett had seen and discovered, and is very regretful that not better material photographs could harden these facts. Locals over the past 100 years have come forward and stated they've seen and witnessed these giant snakes. One traveler had this to say: "During the 1970s when deforestation started, I decided to visit the rainforest. Back then there was so much more to see and the wildlife was plentiful. I'd always wanted to go here, and being an amateur wildlife photographer made me want to do this even more. I have extensive knowledge in the environment and animals. I studied for many years at university and decided that after I graduated I would go to the Amazon. I went with a friend who I'd spoken to previously, and they too were excited to go. It's sad to see the state of the Amazon now compared to when I went. However, even when I traveled there, they were still tearing down the forest. It's sad when you see it for yourself. It's one of the planet's most incredible locations and holds many different species of wildlife. When we arrived, we'd already made contacts and met up with our guide. He was a very kind gentleman and helped us out with everything. On the day of the tour, it was a beautiful day. The forest was even more breathtaking than I could have imagined. We started to venture in, and we must have been walking for around 2 to 3 hours before we stopped. The noises that surrounded us were incredible. The forest was alive. After stopping around 4 hours into our trip, our guide showed us something. Down on the ground, we could see a small to medium-sized trail. Leaves had been moved and small parts of plants had been destroyed. It looked as if someone had walked through the forest with a large pole and created this. Me and my friend thought it was the work that was being done at the time. However, we couldn't be further from the truth. Our guide said that this belonged to a large animal, specifically a snake. After asking several questions, we learned there were snakes in here that grew to enormous sizes. Our guide told us a story of when his mother encountered a huge snake laid out in the forest. She estimated the snake as being over 50 feet long. It was a brown color and had piercing yellow eyes. Our guide said that these snakes have been witnessed by the locals and that they stay clear of them. We were intrigued by these stories, however, we also tried to keep an open mind. We tracked this animal for around half an hour, then to our surprise, we actually found it. Our guide said that this is the creature that locals are witnessing and that they do grow to even bigger than this. We'd never seen a snake this large and up close before. It was an incredible sight. 2 things stood out for us. The size and thickness of the snake. We identified the snake as being an anaconda. We could tell this because of the brown and green skin. It was an incredible specimen. And if I had to guess, I would say it was easily over 20 feet, maybe even pushing 25 feet. One of the issues though, as pointed out by my friend, is that we had no way of knowing its true size. This is also the case for all the encounters. Our guy told us this snake was around 5 to 8 years old. He also told us another interesting story. He'd been on his own on this particular occasion. He said he would go out on his own as it would give him more experience with the forest. On this occasion, he said he could hear twigs breaking in the distance. Thinking it was a monkey or a sloth, he decided to pursue the noise. After the noises got louder and louder, he knew he was on the right track. However, he said he could tell the noises were coming from the ground. After reaching the source of the noise, the culprit was a giant snake. The snake was moving through the forest and he got a good idea of how big this thing was. He estimated the snake as being over 40 feet long and was again an anaconda. He observed it for several minutes before getting back. It was getting dark and he didn't want to be out in the forest at night. He said that these giant snakes are most active at night and will take down a human. People have gone missing in the forest and people point to these creatures for taking them. They don't fear humans, with some saying they will actively hunt them if they're nearby. Me and my friend couldn't believe these stories. They were told with such detail and accuracy they sounded real. He did believe everything he was saying. He also said these snakes are not common, pointing out that he's only seen around 10 of them in his whole life. After we got back, we asked some of the locals and nearly all of them had their own stories of these giant snakes, whether that was personal accounts or stories that had been passed down. After arriving home, I had a new outlook on life. These stories and my own personal encounter made me look at the world in a different way. I have more of an open mind and give these types of stories a chance. I truly believe this world still has some secrets. Remy van Lide was a Belgian pilot. He is perhaps best well known for his famous snake encounter. This was when he was returning from a mission in the Congo. According to Van Lyd, he was flying over the jungle in a helicopter when he spotted a giant snake. He described it as very dark green with a white belly. He estimated the snake as being over 50 feet in length. In his account, the serpent reared up as though it wanted to attack the helicopter. He even managed to snap a picture of the beast, which is now well known in cryptozoological circles. Unfortunately, the picture is blurry and doesn't provide anything to indicate the scale, so it can't be used as proof that this snake really was that enormous. Still, he insisted that the monster was a true giant and could easily have eaten up a man if it wanted to. Some have put forward the idea that what people have seen could be a titanoboa. Titanoboa was a giant prehistoric snake. After the KT extinction that occurred 65 million years ago, it took a few million years for terrestrial life on Earth to replenish itself. Appearing during the Pliocene epoch, Titanoboa was one of the first plus-sized reptiles to reclaim the ecological niches left open by the demise of the dinosaurs. When this snake was alive, modern-day Peru and Colombia were tropical, which meant Titanoboa was able to grow to much larger sizes. It's believed this giant snake was 50 to 60 foot long and weighed 2,000 pounds. But of course, this theory is very unlikely. So what do you guys make of these stories and encounters? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.